I'm excited to sit down and have my guy Josh.
Yeah,
Josh,
absolutely.
we go way back. We go back to your days of training my wife.
Yep.
I guess I retired in 2014. My wife started training with you sometime after that.
Yeah,
with
not
a couple
long, probably
other,
16 or so.
yeah, a couple of other former Titans wives
NFL
and,
wives, yeah.
and GM wives and stuff.
Yep.
And so, welcome, man. I'm excited to have you on the podcast.
I
today.
appreciate it, man. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Well, we were just here catching up on life and kids and work and all those different things. And you talked about a little bit of your slow season right now, but
Yep.
having some guys that you're still training. When we think about what you do at a elite level and the type of guys that you're training, guys like George Kittle, I mean, what is that mindset that you have to go in and day in and day out to really start setting that foundation for what you want to see in your guys?
So I tell people all the time, I'm incredibly blessed to work with the people that I get to, the talent that they have, the work ethic that they have. Now, the one thing that I think that separates either myself from another coach that may be a mile away that just hasn't had that same blessing of opportunity, or maybe he has, is the connection that you can create with your players. A lot of the guys that I get, they know of me because they hear the players that I work with they're talking about workouts.
Right.
And that's something that is a little bit rare in the NFL offseason. Like a lot of players dread it. If you can get guys that not only don't dread it, but somewhat look forward to it, then you've created something. You've created a culture among the guys that lasts for years to come. The players that I get that come in now, I'm not really marketing to get new players. It's typically word of mouth, and I'm getting the right type of guys.
Right.
Because the guys that I have, you mentioned George, aside from TJ Hawkinson, who was a first round draft pick, they're all 5th, 6th, 7th round draft picks, free agents. So they're all still grinders. And in today's NFL, even offensive linemen, if they just come up pampered, and I think it shows up a little bit on Sundays. But if you can get guys that are willing to work, it makes what I have to do coming in there. I'm not having to motivate people to want to get better. They know that what they're doing now is going to either buy them another year or two on their career or help them put themselves in a better position for a better contract.
Right.
Like everything we do in February, March, April, May, it matters 3 years from now. It's compound interest at its like core. And I preach that all the time. It's not today's workout that's going to make the difference. It's the compilation of the next 36 workouts that we're going to do that's going to make the difference.
Building blocks.
And today may not be your day, but we're going to have a good day. Yeah. Me and you on a personal level are going to have a good day. And that way, when I see you tomorrow, that day's behind you. You had a good day socially, at least in here. And now we're going to have a better work day because of it.
Yeah.
But if you dread it, it's just hard to show up to something that you hate.
Yeah.
You can't hate it. And I try to make it so people like me. That way they like the work a little bit better.
Yeah. You said some of this younger group is coming in. They feel like they're pampered. The Power Four, schools, they have everything they need. The locker rooms are great. They have AC in their chairs now. Yeah. They got recliners. They have eye masks and pockets. And I'm not saying anything is wrong with that. Those things are great. But do you think that kind of leads into some of the pampering?
100%. I see it more so on the offensive side of the ball. And it's,
hey man, watch out.
I know. Well, you're one of the old ones where it happened differently. But you look at these defensive guys. I mean, they're wired still. They got all the same stuff. They got the same amenities, but they're still wired to get after somebody's ass and get to the ball.
Yeah.
Whereas those offensive guys, they're trained to protect. But if you're a little bit pampered, a little bit softer coming up, and you're going up against a guy whose main goal is to wreck your face and get to the guy with the ball, it's creating this deficiency. We see defensive ends at all levels now. It used to be when you played, there was one guy, right? Dwight Freeney or whoever it was. Oh, we got to look out for Dwight. Now it's four guys coming off the edge, two guys interior that can wreck you.
Right.
Everybody's got it. And I try to instill a culture in which we're still working like we were in college. Yeah. I know it's not college and people don't want to do that, but at some point, like the work has to continue. And I see guys that they haven't hit their genetic potential and I still want to try to get them there. And we're still just trying to wire that that work button.
Right.
Like it's in there. You can't get to the league and then all of a sudden start to coast. You see it all the time from the Myles Garretts, the George Kittles, the people that have done it at a high level for a decade. All they talk about with their younger guys is don't delay the work. You got to the league now. That's great. But the work is just now starting. Right. Now you got to put your foot on the gas pedal because you don't know how long this thing's going to last. It's the not for long league.
Yeah.
You got to train hard right now. And that's what we try to instill.
Now you got a chance to experience all of that. You played in college, and I think we all go through this transition.
Yep.
You know, take me through a little bit of that transition piece of transition out of college, trying to figure out what is my next steps. What do I do? How do I do it? You know, what's my foundation? You know, did you have an identity crisis at the end of that?
No. And that's because I knew I wanted to get into coaching immediately. And we had a marginal amount of success while I was at Louisiana Tech. So Sonny Dykes and his crew left my junior year and went out to Berkeley. When I graduated, I got a call from their strength coach. Hey, we're looking for an intern. Are you interested?
Yeah.
So I got out there, and the day I got out there, Damon Harrington sat me down. He's like, hey, happy to have you. You're not a player anymore. You know, I need what you were when I saw you in college, which was 2 years ago, because I had Kurt Hester for a year in between, which we'll talk about Kurt in a minute. But so I get out there and I'm kind of thrusted into this role. And my second day there, they fired 2 assistants. So I get sat back down. He's like, hey, you are now one of our 2 assistants. I'm like, yeah, no. He's like, no, listen, the guys in this weight room, they think that we just hired you to be one of our new assistant strength coaches. So we need you to step up. We need you to step up now. Okay. So I'm in the weight room working with Jared Goff at the time, who was already projected to be a first round draft pick. I just graduated college like 6 months before that, but I got thrusted into the fire, which that opportunity was game changing for me. I gained so much firsthand experience in that year that I was out there that I never would have got had I taken the traditional internship route, which I was taking. I just got blessed with an opportunity that I got to coach during that time. I wasn't a plate loader and a cleanup guy. Right. I was in a position where I actually got to learn, got to nurture with these guys. I got to connect with these guys. I learned what all these different position players like actually desired from a coach. Because we had Damon Harrington. There's a guy named Scott Salwasser there who's phenomenal. He's now in the private sector. And then the head, Mike Velasquez, was there, who was the former head of football, but he was the head of Olympic. So he was also in there. So I had 3 just unbelievable minds that had 80 years of experience in the strength and conditioning world right there at my disposal. So I'm there at 4 a.m. setting up. I'm there till 8 p.m. every single day for a 6-month period. That was life-changing. And at that point, I knew if I could get through that 6 months of 4 a.m. to 8 p.m. for free, that I want to do this. And that back to what we were talking about with guys being pampered. There's guys that are applying for jobs across the country in the strength conditioning world. They've never been through that. Yeah. So they're just looking for money. They're looking for hours. They're looking for it now. I'm like, dude, I worked for almost 3 years before I ever got a paycheck. So I went from there back to, I got my master's at Ole Miss. So I was a GA under Paul Jackson while I was there. Yeah. Same thing. Was there at 5 a.m. And football season was even worse than the off season because you were there for the early morning workouts. Then you had to stay all the way through the practice. Yep. Then I had to go back and do my biomechanics homework. That experience between those 2 things is something that is just lacking, I think, across the entire American workforce. People don't understand the grind that's necessary to be successful. In my first couple of years while I was here in Nashville, I was opening a facility at 4:30 in the morning. I was there till 7, 8 o'clock at night. I couldn't get somebody to do that if I paid them $20 an hour now. I try to get people to cover my sessions for $30 an hour. Like, I'm like, dude, $30 an hour? What are we talking about here? That's good money. Like, what do you want? Right. So yeah, back to the identity crisis. No, I knew what I wanted to do. I was just very blessed to be put in a position where I was able to do it early on. Pay or no pay, the experience that I got from that was life-changing.
3, 2, 1. Parents, the recruiting process is one of the biggest decisions you'll ever face for your child. And talent isn't enough. Coaches are looking for the intangibles, like composure, coachability, communication, and leadership. And that's what Team Cube measures. Get clear insights into your child's intangibles so they stand out when it matters most. Go to teamq.io and help your athlete unlock greatness.
When I think about strength coaching and just think about players in the locker room that goes in and they spend a lot of time with their strength coach.
Yep.
How important is it to those who that's not really been in that room? How important is the strength coach to building a culture for any athletic teams?
I would venture to say it's the most important position in sports, because the guys spend more time. There's no, maybe outside of baseball, but football players spend more time in the weight room than they spend with their wife. That's just what they do. You're there every single day. And then you have that same guy is out there on the field. He's helping you warm up. He's helping you stretch. He's helping you activate. I mean, most of these guys are spending 10 to 15 hours a week with their strength coach. Nobody else is doing that. So if you don't have that connection, especially in high-end sports, if you don't have that connection with your guys, if you don't have that buy-in, it's really hard to get them to do what you want to do. And that is the culture. I've never met a guy who won 3 or 4 Super Bowls with the Patriots where they were back squatting 225 for sets of 20 the day after a game that regrets the work and all of the stuff, all the sweat and the grind that they got. They're winning Super Bowls, but that everybody knows the Patriot way was the way. Well, it wasn't because they were going in there and doing soft tissue and foam rolling.
Right.
It's because they had a culture and they built that and it showed on Sundays. And the same thing happens in college. Like the guys that are dominating, the SEC dominates, they got the toughest strength programs in the country. Yeah. Everybody knows it.
Yeah.
You'll transfer from a Big Ten program outside of Iowa. Iowa gets after it. They always have. And they also have their own identity and everybody knows it. But you transfer from one of those other schools, you transfer to Alabama or Georgia or Ole Miss, LSU, it's a different type of work. And everybody knows that as soon as they get like, holy shit, I'm not used to this. Well, that's why they always win.
Yeah.
That is what separates them from the pack. They don't get bigger, stronger recruits. Big Ten gets those big ass guys, but they get to the SEC and they develop them in a different way.
Man, I remember when I got to Ole Miss, Ruben Mendoza was our strength coach, and he was probably one of the biggest humans I've ever seen.
Yep.
And he put on 315 pounds. Well, at first he put on 225 and he just laid on the bench, repped it out like 35 times, racked it. They put another plate on 315. Boom, 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 he 20, ripped 20, racked it, and he gets up and all he says, and this was his recruiting pitch, "That's how strong I have you before you leave here."
Yeah.
And walked away. And then you have guys like Tommy Moffitt.
Yeah.
Who is just a program builder,
a legend.
And so LSU, now he's at Texas A&M, and I don't think it's talked about enough. The mindset and what you guys, what strength coaches have to go through, and the type of person they have to be to build that kind of culture for those programs, because you're not just a strength coach. No. You're a psychologist.
Yeah.
You're a just that person that the kid can lean on and talk to about personal stuff.
You get the good, bad, the ugly. You hear about the girlfriends, the mom, the dad, you all of it. And yet through all of that, you still have to command work of the people. Right. And there's not many other positions in the world that have to do both. Like a head coach or a coordinator, all of that other stuff gets fine-tuned with the people in the weight room first before they step onto the field. Yep. You hear about all that other stuff first. You get their mind right to get out onto the field to still perform.
That's what I think. The more and more I sit back and think about those building blocks, a lot that was spent in that weight room with your strength coaches.
Yep. The adversity, that's where the offseason adversity is built, right? All the struggle, the hard workouts, the deadly workouts, all that stuff, it's built there. And there's been times where organizations or programs went too far with it.
Yeah.
And there's been times where it's not enough. Like we get into this functional side of strength training, and it's just,
I feel like we kind of did now.
It's a lot of people, it's still not enough. And I think that's why somebody like Tommy Moffitt, who refuses to change who he is, refuses to change his identity. Kurt Hester. I mean, Kurt went from Louisiana Tech to Tulane. Tulane started kicking ass, went to Houston, and just dominant everywhere he goes. And it's because his crazy ass demanded out of his players what other strength coaches wouldn't. But people bought into it. Right. This dude came into the locker room with an alligator and just wrestling it before a game. But you do stuff like that and you get people's attention.
Right.
And they want to, we talked about it in church. He could sit up there and he could say, all right, so this is the book of Mark and this is what they do. No, I'm going to tell you a story. And you tell a story and there's a memory associated with it. And that's what people lean into. Yeah. You got to lean into what you have to say.
Yeah.
And a good strength coach that commands conviction of you, like Tommy, like Damon, like Kurt, it changes the identity completely. You get too soft with these guys who are already soft. It's just not going to get the job done. Yeah. And I think that's what's going to continue to separate a lot of the SEC and some of these programs is they're still demanding work of these guys. These guys are getting paid, but they're still grinding. And if you're grinding while you're paid, it's going to show up on Saturdays and then eventually on Sundays.
Right. Now I want you to tell me a story about when you had a coach that changed your identity.
I think it was actually Paul Jackson. I was at Ole Miss, and I was interning. I was a GA there, and knowledgeable, strong, knew the program, former player, all that stuff. And he challenged me. He said, "Man, I think you got a long career at this, but you need more energy." And I'm like sitting there, and from that time forward, I was going to have to be told to turn it down. Because if somebody in that position who he's now the head guy with the Jacksonville Jaguars is challenging me to do that, it's something that I was lacking. Yeah. And to the point now where I'll be in the weight room and some of these guys are like, "Oh, you're fucking turn, here he is, blah, 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 blah." But you're gonna have to tell me to turn down. You're gonna have to turn me down when I got 10 guys in there, as opposed to have to turn me up.
Yeah.
It's just not going to happen. Now, when I got a group of 4 or 5 NFL wives, I just listen to the gossip and that happens. But when I'm in a position in which energy is required, turn me down. Don't have to turn it up.
Yeah.
Don't be the reason that people, they feed off of energy. And Paul challenged me. That was 2013, probably somewhere around there. And from that point forward, it's just been who I am. And I wasn't that way. I was more of a quiet worker, a leader, get shit done, all of that stuff. But having that combination of both of those things has really helped me succeed in life.
It's always fascinated me as I have these conversations that what was those moments, those pivotal pieces that kind of made that shift and change for you. Shout out to Paul.
Yeah. Phenomenal.
Great.
Phenomenal.
Dude.
I mean,
I'm
talking,
spend some time with him down at Ole Miss.
That dude, he has a book. You talk about preparation. He would have the entire season of offseason prep before the season started. And he would open it up and be like, "All right, we're in week 27 and here's the slight adjustments we have to make this week based on where we are in our program." But he still knew what was going to happen in week 36. Weekly adjustments based on an entire system that he built out. I've never met anybody like that. He was insane. He's remarkable.
Again, you transitioned now. You're a young guy. You now thrusted into the spotlight. How did you shift that mindset of, who you were to what you are becoming now in this new role?
So I still had to come back to my roots. Like I had to always remember that I was a football player. And if I want to continue to connect with these athletes, there's got to be a connection point for me. And that's something I never lost. And I think part of it is just remaining relevant, one in the weight room, one in the sport, watching ball, talking a little bit of science, like just making sure that what I am presenting to my athletes is one, what they want to hear. And two, there's merit behind it, because we're in a position where science and coaching is ever changing. And I think people, they can read bullshit. They can. They know enough. They have enough exposure to stuff via social media that they know what's real and what's not. Right. So being a real human being throughout this whole process, even when I was younger, just being real with who I am, and honestly being able to say, "Fuck, I don't know, but tomorrow I'll be able to tell you." Yeah. Right? People asking you a question, if you don't know the answer to it, just being honest with them that you're not knowledgeable enough in that whatever sector that they asked you about, but coming back the next day with an answer, because now they know you give a shit.
Right.
And if you give a shit, no matter if you're a 23-year-old or a 43-year-old, people are going to care, and they're going to care more for you and what you have to say if they know you're honest.
I've heard you talk about this before, just this identity shift work that people need to do. What does athletes get wrong in that process as they're working on shifting their identity from who they were to who they're becoming?
As an athlete, I think there's not a strong enough switch for most people. They think that what they have previously done is good enough to continue what they're doing.
Right.
And the ones that I see that truly make the biggest impact and that have the longevity, they they really they make a switch. Whatever they may put it down. They may put down the Xbox controller. They may put down the Taco Bell. They make a shift physically that is life-changing. And that may be their recovery, their sleep. I mean, you'd be amazed at the people that used to try to walk in with Wendy's bags after staying up till 3 a.m. playing Halo. I'm like, guys, you cannot do this anymore. And it doesn't all have to be at once. I'll come back to George, who I've watched was kind of that guy when he first came out of Iowa, when I first got him. And the first thing was going to bed earlier. And the next thing was tackling his nutrition, then hiring a chef, then getting the cold plunge and the sauna. And then next thing you know, he has a whole system that works for him. And it's not going to be the same for everybody. Right. But I think people they actually have to make a change. And it's the same thing with a 35-year-old woman that might want to lose 20 pounds. You can't do the same things as you've always done and expect a different result. Right. You have to make an absolute change in what you're doing. There's got to be a stress. If it's comfortable, it's no good. You have to become uncomfortable. And the NFL guys that refuse to get there, they're the not for long guys. The guys that make the shift, they make the changes, they understand now's the time, and they do what needs to be done. Those are the ones that are still playing. And
I really appreciate you said it's not it's not all at once, because when I came into the league as a kid coming from small town Mississippi and used to eating, everything fried and
chicken
black eyed
dumplings, all this stuff,
and all the different things and greens, and then making a shift out to Seattle, just trying to figure out. I remember calling my mom like, "Hey mom, can you go to the store, get me some Bluebell ice cream because I can't find no Bluebell out here in Seattle. Can you get me some, put it on some dry ice and ship it to me?" And I remember just getting a box of that, just sitting there, just eating it. I'm like, oh my God, it's so good. But I started talking to some nutritionists and strength coach, and they tried to get me to make this shift all at once, and it didn't work for me. And then it wasn't until I started that process working with, my trainer out of Vancouver, Big Joe, and we started working on this process of like, hey, if you're going to eat this, we're going to do this. Yep. If you're going to have this, we're going to do this. And then we slowly start to kind of build a plan, like you said, build a system. Yep. And it takes that mindset that, when you tell someone you got to put it all down at once,
it's like, do it.
It's like talking to your kids, like
an addict, they ain't going to do it. You gotta make subtle changes,
right? But
being able to recognize what those are. And then you brought up a really good point. Finding help, because most people, we just talk about whatever that shift may be. If you try to do it on your own, probably not going to work. You got to find somebody that you're comfortable with that can help you make that shift, and that's what's going to make you successful. The Trent Williams of the world, they'll tell you that it starts 10 years before you thought you needed to do it, and then you need to do it now.
All right, Josh, we're going to jump into a quick 2-minute here. There's going to be some rapid fire questions, and just don't think about it. Just first thing come to your head. All right. First word to come to mind when you hear the word pressure.
Point.
Yep. Why point?
Just thinking body work, pressure points.
All right.
Yeah, that's where I'm at. Strength coach.
One habit that changed your life.
Training. I think that's probably who I am, but a lot of people just don't love it. Yeah. And falling in love with the process, it's just invaluable in all areas of life, whether that's your relationship, your business, your workouts, your nutrition. If you just fall in love with the process and not the result, I mean, you'll be bigger, faster, stronger, richer than you ever would have been. As
a guy who struggles back and forth through this, and to find that motivation and to keep the consistency.
Yeah, it's tough. There's a process though for you.
You don't have to.
Correct. And that's the difference. And I tell people all the time now that somebody like yourself that's out of it, it may not be the same form of exercise training that you once did, but there's something out there that you may follow. It may be in pickleball, right? There's stuff that can make you a healthier human that you truly will enjoy. And then there's a process involved in that.
One of the toughest teammates or opponent you've ever faced.
IK and Polly. He got drafted by the Jets. He's most famous for, sorry if you hear this, IK, for the Geno Smith incident.
Yeah.
Geno owed him some money, and IK he moved to America when he was a sophomore in high school. from Africa, like straight up African. Saw him bench press 550 pounds in college. And the incident that he had was unfortunate, but I also saw him get tased and rip a taser out when we were in college. Just the toughest human being I've ever seen in my entire life. And money was something that he didn't come from. So being born in Africa and being owed money by somebody, and then that person telling him no, he just wasn't raised that way. And it's not like he was raised on the streets of Detroit. It was just more of like a cultural thing that he couldn't get past.
Yeah.
And it got settled, and there's a broken jaw that came of it.
Oh my God.
But 100% till the day I die, the toughest person I've ever seen.
That's awesome. I do remember that incident. All right. One thing CEOs, because I know you do a lot of work with CEOs, one thing CEOs should steal from athletes.
Routine. I think some of the ones that are extremely successful have a lot of the same tendencies that athletes do. They wake up early, they train, they recover, they treat their body a lot like an athlete does. Yeah. It's a temple, because they understand that their body is a representation of who they are. And a healthy body is a smart body, a smart brain, and they can command a room a lot more. You walk into a room as a 6 foot, 300 pound slop, you're not going to get the same respect as if you walk in as 6 foot, 220 and look like somebody that takes care of themselves. Right. It's where we are in the world. Right. You look like a commanding figure. You're going to command more of the people around you, and that's going to take you further. All
right. Last one. If you had a mic, you had 10 seconds to speak to every college athlete out there, what would that message be?
I would say to put down the controller and pick up the work. We're in a time where, we talked about it a ton here, the work is not enough. Athletes do not work hard enough in their college days to become the athlete that they want to be in the NFL or Major League Baseball, whatever it is. You got to work harder.
I like that you said controller, because that can be anything.
Yep.
It could be game controller. It could be scrolling on your social media. Yep. It could be backing up from the dinner plate, yep. So I like that. I like that analogy. You've built a model around leadership, athletes, and this future generation. And how have that transformation and that transition for you start to really cement what you feel like you're meant to be in society?
I just think when people 10, 20, 30 years from now, when they look back at what I've done, I don't necessarily want it to all come back to what I did with one person or one player. I want a identity when people look back at Coach Cuthbert and what he did. I want them to say he was this type of coach, and he worked with these type of people because he was this type of human. Yeah. And I think I'm getting there. Just like the athletes that I work with, I work on myself daily, whether that's therapy, coaching. I have my own coach, I have my own strength coach, I have my own business coach. All of the things that I demand of my people, I implement on myself. And I think that's going to help me 10 years from now to continue to grow in the quote unquote figure that I am.
What does success now what does that look like for you now?
Success?
Yeah.
I don't think I've got there. I think I'm one of the hungrier strength coaches. I enjoy coaching. I think there's a lot of people, they'll get out of the weight room and they shift completely online and they become content creators. And I love that. I've got friends that make more money than some of my NFL athletes, but I always want to be a guy that's known for what he does in the weight room. I can't help it. I love coaching people in person. And I can't say that about some of the better coaches out there. They don't love it. They're good at it, but they don't love it. Yeah. So for me, there's a massive difference. Yeah. I still get up at 5:30 in the morning and find my ass in the weight room 3 days a week. I want to always be remembered as a guy that loved what he was doing. And success for me is when I'm done, people are asking me to still do it.
Right.
And that's a long time from now. Right. I want people to still want me to coach even when I'm done coaching, because of the impact that I was having on them or the people around them.
How have you transitioned from just working with athletes to now working with CEOs and coaching them with the same type of foundation? Mm-hmm. How have you found that side of coaching versus being in the weight room coaching?
I think for me, I train people so similarly. I'd like to train ordinary individuals like an athlete. I think it carries over into life so well. I mean, you'll have a 50-year-old guy that still wants to do athletic things with his kids, and they haven't done it in a decade, but they still want to, right?
Yeah.
So a lot of the compound movements that we do, the high intensity stuff that we do, the triple extension, all of that stuff converts back to them becoming more athletic and buying longevity in their life and in their career. You mentioned CEOs and what they could take from athletes. A lot of these guys are wired like an athlete. A lot of them were former athletes. So they want to train that way. They see the things that NFL players do, and they know that they're not there physically, but they want to try their damnedest to be there.
Right.
And that for them is a challenge, because a good CEO loves a challenge.
Yeah.
They love to be challenged. So that's a way for them to be challenged physically, to then in turn take their mental capacity to another level as well.
How do you reverse that? You have a guy who's a CEO of a company who also played professionally.
Yep.
And now you still have the competitive side, but the body don't allow you to.
It's not there.
To push.
I think that's that comes with good coaching. I have them. I also have 73-year-old ladies that have had double knee replacements. And I like to think of myself as a little bit
I hear that jab.
Little bit of a chameleon, right? I can go up and down depending on who the person is, but being able to have a Rolodex of movements and movement capacity and different modalities for people goes a long ways. And that's why some of these people put their trust in me, because they think if I can train an NFL guy at this level, surely I can find ways to increase their performance and their longevity as well. But it's not always easy. Like, some of these guys want to do things that they can't do.
Yeah, that's
and you gotta take them through a prehab and all that stuff. But it's good for somebody like that to be taken through proper progression and what it would look like for, honestly, some of the incoming freshmen that come into a weight room that they've never power cleaned. I'm not power cleaning executives, but I'm taking them through movement process that they've never gone through. Yeah. They've gone in and done the same bench and leg press for the past decade and not seen any results. But now we're going to take you through a full movement protocol that's going to increase the way you can move, and then we can add load, and then you're going to progress.
I'm thinking about it from my standpoint of, now doing what I'm doing, but also still trying to move and push and do what I did when I was playing, not at the same level, but, and then the body still wants to break down. The injuries continues to come up. And so trying to find that sweet spot.
That middle ground.
Yeah.
We've increased all of our different movement modalities. I don't think when you were playing trap bar deadlift was a big thing.
No. Well, it was toward the end of my
probably towards the very end.
Yeah. It became big because I hurt my back.
Your back, right?
And so I had to do that a lot to kind of.
It's almost a gold standard across weight rooms now, and almost anybody can do it. And it adds a ton of load. You can add power variations to it. We have belt squats. We have so many things that weren't around a decade ago, 2 decades ago. Not you for 2 decades, but a decade ago that was really big. I mean, it was so compound, heavy back squat, heavy deadlift driven for so long. And I think we know more about it now to know that that's not the only way. Being big and strong is one thing, but being big, strong, and fast are 2 different things. And I think there's a lot of joint damage potentially that was done that maybe wasn't warranted back in the day, that is allowing people like Trent Williams to play at just this exponentially high level at this point of his career, because I don't think he's taken the beating.
Right.
And because the modalities that we know now that can still provide success and increase somebody's performance, they weren't around back then. The science wasn't quite there, and it hasn't been talked about, but the substances that are offered on the side, non-steroids, are just remarkable now, from peptides to stem cells to exosomes. If that stuff were around when you were playing, I mean, people would have, like they are now, played for 15 years, no problem.
Yeah.
I mean, you go in the off season, you get some stuff overseas, and you're a new human. It's like nothing ever happened. Like, people aren't reporting to camp banged up. They're reporting to camp feeling like Superman.
Right.
And that wasn't something we had before.
Yeah. You mean tell me guys wasn't, squatting 700 plus pounds in high school that caused a lot of
their knee pain, little damage to the cartilage,
just a tad bit damage. Well, Josh, no, this is great, man. I love this perspective from the strength side of things, because you get to see both sides of it. You also you've lived it, but you also get a chance to see and be what athletes and people across the spectrum needs, that, that life coach, that the mentor, the psychologist. And so it's a well-rounded position that you're in, and your upbringing and how you've come through the ranks have put you in a position where you can now lean into those aspects. Correct. And people trust you, and those guys, want to be a part of what you're building. And then also knowing that you're also on the other side of the coin when they make that transition out.
Correct.
And so I appreciate that. And so when you think about your life and you think about, if you had to go back and talk to your 17-year-old self, would you think what would you tell your 17-year-old self first?
Ooh, that's a good one. I've been on some podcasts. I haven't got there. This is tough because I spent a lot of money on it. The college degrees that I got don't mean as much as the time I spent in the position that I wanted to be in. So getting reps in whatever profession it is, if you're a financial advisor, getting reps at that. If you're an engineer, getting reps at that. If you're a strength coach, being in the weight room around people, it's invaluable. You'll never replace the experience that you get over the book that you read. It doesn't translate in most professions. It's the people that have the most experience that are going to be the best at the job.
Yeah. Oh man, you said one of my favorite words is reps.
Yep.
No matter how many times you watch it on YouTube, no matter how many times you watch someone else do it, you still have to do it yourself. You still have to get the reps.
Yep.
And I think we got to get back to a society of putting the reps in.
Yeah.
And it's back to your earlier point of, going through the ranks and how you've gotten through the ranks. They're not willing to do that now. Mm-hmm. It's about how much money can you make me? How many hours? I can't work for $30 an hour. I need more. But until you get the reps, you can't demand that.
It's not there.
And we've kind of got the model flipped right now.
Yeah.
I mean, even when you look at NIL, the transfer portal, all these different things that we're getting a lot of this money before we put the reps in. Correct. To see if we actually belong.
Yeah.
And I know it's frustrating that the model is that way, but at the same time, it is what it is. That's what the model is. And now how do we adapt?
Yep.
And so continue to have these kind of conversations about what pieces are important with guys like yourself who've been there and done that, and talking about these different intangibles. So important so that this generation doesn't miss out on the main thing. And the main thing is you got to get the reps.
Yep. The work is necessary. If you don't do the work, you're not going to get the results.
Absolutely.
It is what it is.
Absolutely. All right. Last question for you. Okay. As we start to close up here, if you had to think about your life and the things that has made you who you are, as you think about that, what are some of the intangibles that has solidified and made you become the person that you are today?
It comes back to work ethic. I think as an undersized guy, a white guy in Louisiana playing college football, not the smartest guy, it's all work. It's always been work ethic for me. My uncle played at Louisiana Tech, and he always said to be the first one in, the last one out. And I don't know many people that have that same mindset. I can recognize one when they walk in. If somebody signs on to work with me in the offseason and they show up at the time that the workout's supposed to be, I know they don't have that mindset.
Right.
But you'll have some guys still every now and then they'll show up 15 minutes early. They want to know what they can do for those 15 minutes until we get started.
Right.
Those are the people that have the mindset necessary to be successful as an athlete. But also as soon as their athletic endeavor is done, they're going to be the first person when they get that new job to show up 15 minutes early, ask their boss, what can I do? And they're going to climb the ranks of society because they are the workers. They are the ones that are willing to put in the work. And I've always been one that's willing to put in the work. And I think it was instilled in me at an early age. And I don't know where the chip came from because I was a pretty good athlete in most sports, but I wasn't going to be outworked. So you take somebody that works hard and that is pretty gifted, whether they work hard and they're pretty gifted academically, then they're going to go high. If you work hard and you're pretty gifted athletically, you're going to go high. There's no substitute in life for working harder than the person next to you.
Yeah.
You'll never lose, not in the long run. Yeah. You may lose, something may not go your way, but if you stay true to that and you always outwork somebody, you will always be successful.
Yeah. Well, I think I lied to you. I said it was the last question, but you just said something that made me think about, to make sure we clarify what does work look like? Because right now there can be there could be quantity over quality.
Yep.
and not having the balance and thinking that, because I'm doing an extra 10, 15 minutes over here, that it's adding to my growth. Can you talk a little bit about that, of what that balance looked like?
Yeah, I think one of my favorite quotes is my head football coach in high school called me when I was a freshman in college and just left me a voicemail. He said, "Hey, Cut, just want you to remember, it's not the extraordinary things that makes you special. It's doing the ordinary things better than everybody else." So like you just said, you'll have people that they'll come in just to do a little bit more. I have younger guys, "Hey, I know we're done for the day, but what more can I do?" Which is a great mindset,
right?
But more is not always better.
Yeah.
It's the work that we're doing, be better at it than the next person. Right. Do the things that you're expected to do at an extremely high level and watch how that compounds.
Yeah.
Because we're at a point now where we don't ask for like this massive time commitment when it comes to work, but we can't get people to commit to the work within that time. Yeah. Their attention spans aren't there. Their work ethic's not there. Just when you are supposed to do something, whatever it is, do it to the utmost of your ability. And then you're good. Taking out the trash, be the best damn trash taker outer that you know. Do the homework, write it as legibly as you can, do it really well, and then you're done. Yeah. I think we live in a time where the work that's expected, people don't even take that seriously. They don't even put their best foot forward for that. And then they're trying to do other stuff on the side, yet they haven't done the main squeeze right yet. Yeah. Do the main stuff and do it just a little bit better than the person next to you. And that's what compounds. The daily, 365 days a year.
I have to work out in my own gym because I have that mindset. I can't get rid of that mindset where I'm going to go to the gym with my buddies and I'm going to have social hour and work. It's when I'm in the gym, I don't want anyone to talk to me because I'm only focused on the work because I want to make sure every rep that I hit, that is at the best with the right technique, the right amount of push, the right amount of effort in it all. And so I think for younger athletes is, I thought that was important to have that conversation and talk through of what does that look like? Because it's not just about always, I'm just doing extra work. And that extra work is not adding to the foundation. And so, Josh, man, this has been awesome. Hear your story and how you've come through this process, the knowledge that you've dropped on the audience, and even things that now I got to go back and recheck my box on some things. Really appreciate you joining Intangible Podcast.
I appreciate it, man.
Fun,
Thanks.
man.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Yeah.